Hi, I'm Michelle Lamb, Editorial Director of The Trend Curve. Lately, we've had lots of questions and calls about the lifespan of a trend. It's not surprising given today's economic realities. So I'd like to take a few minutes with you now to talk about the life of a trend and what's changing. Every color or theme or motif trend follows a predictable path from the first moment a direction appears until the last time it has any significance at retail. Notice that I didn't say it's gone, we've only said that it has no significance at retail. So it may be one of the items that continues on indefinitely or becomes a basic. But what we're talking about here is all trend. This path includes 7 steps which together form the life of a trend. In the emerging phase, artisans produce one-of-a-kind pieces for wealthy early adopters. This is the wow moment when talent converges with creativity for truly new concepts. The limited supply is perfect for the number of consumers who have both an awareness of the trend and the disposable income to tolerate the highest prices that trend will ever see. In the incoming phase, trend-forward resources increase supply and lower pricing for the first time. While many still can't afford to buy at these prices, they begin to aspire to own the trend, and that's why this stage is so important. Trends begin to enjoy mainstream awareness when they're pre-peak. Nearly everyone knows about it at this point, and many people can purchase because supply has increased, and economies of scale mean downward price shifts have taken place. A trend peaks when it reaches the highest level of exposure, consumer interest, and sales it will ever have in its lifetime. This is the sweet spot for anyone who considers volume selling to be an indicator of success. But of course, it's also the beginning of the end. Sales decline as a trend rounds the top of the bell curve and enters the post-peak phase. Now the color, look, or product is overexposed. Some trends then become visible in overstock venues as they're outgoing, and finally, the trend is in decline and has no meaningful role as a fashion statement. When I started to track and forecast trends in 1984, a trend's life had just declined from 7 years to 5. But the pressure for change continued, and by 2000, that span had dropped again, this time to 4 years. But momentum kept building as trend entered the mainstream, and by 2006, a trend's life had compressed to just 3 years. Now, why pay attention to all of this? It's because this trend cycle that we've just been looking at, unlocks one of the most important tools you will ever have for planning. This relates equally to style and your balance sheet. Trend life cycles, used wisely, inform assortment development in a number of ways. Now, as you can see from the shape of the bell curve, these cycles are evolutionary, not revolutionary, and this is true even within the context of just 3 years. That means you don't have to experience style and color jolts or emergency adjustments to keep your assortment looking fresh. You plan for it. It's simple math. A 3-year cycle means 1/3 change annually, or about 15% per season. That's manageable, not wholesale change. You can get to that 15% by layering on a new color in your palette, or even revising a color. Let's say you're moving from red cast to blue cast purples. Or you can introduce a new sort of yarn into a construction you already have. Any of these counts toward your 15% newness. The trend life cycle will also help you manage the financial aspects of your business. Knowing where a color or a product is in its cycle is key to anticipating demand. It's going to help you both stay in stock and reduce inventory levels appropriately. And it's going to signal you if a look is shifting to basic status. This doesn't happen very often, but you never want to miss a new basic opportunity. No matter how long or short the bell curve is, understanding and utilizing the information from the life cycle of a trend is all about reducing risk. Now, some people are wondering if the 3-year cycle that we've talked about is going to lengthen because of the economy. Of course, the economic roller coaster of the past year has caused some consumers to purchase only what's necessary or safe. For them, trend, while not really dead, is certainly in the background. But there are far more people in a position to buy, yet they are reserving that purchasing power for items they just can't stop thinking about. They come in an exciting style. They exploit new technology. They may have great new features, function differently, use materials creatively. Maybe they're in a new form, or they have fabulous colors. This conservative approach to spending means consumers are more selective than they have been in 20 years and perhaps longer. That puts immense pressure on assortments because there is no room here for anything but must-have items. But it turns out there are more of those must-have items than you might think. At some recent trade shows, I asked exhibitors to tell me about recession-proof items, items that keep selling day in, day out, no matter what happens to the economy. There were lots of stories, and it turns out they all have one thing in common. They all relate to current trends.